101 for 3 is the score after 22.
I feel like I've seen Tom Loughton bat on this ground, maybe even at number 3 for Yorkshire.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he can really bat. Don't worry about that, that's for sure. So, yeah, like you say, that's definitely another option. 4 Notts. So, Nathan Gilchrist to continue. Kent's not yet going to Parkinson, but 2 right-handers at the crease will give them encouragement to do that soonish, I would have thought.
So there's one more game, isn't there, before the Isle of Wight?
Yeah, Essex on Sunday.
On Sunday. Who's doing that one?
Matt has got the gig. Another short ball from Gilchrist, which Montgomery trying to angle down. Clearly something that Kent have decided they're going to try early at Montgomery, this short ball tactic.
No thought of it dropping back until after the women's football. We've seen men's matches in the past, haven't we, that have been 11 o'clock starts, sort of put back to 2 o'clock in on grounds where they've got floodlights. Yeah,
I've been told that it's going to be shown on various TVs around the ground. So it may well be that people either turn up late or got half an eye on the cricket for the first couple of hours on Sunday.
Did you watch them yesterday?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, did well, didn't they? What's going on here? There's an awful lot of nothing happening. Ben Compton is... maybe they're waiting for a helmet because Ben Compton's taking his cap off. I don't think he's going to get a bowl, so he's maybe going to go in at short legs. So they're going to try this bumper barrage at Matthew Montgomery. That's what it looks like. In you go, Ben. Get yourself in there at Boot Hill. Not nice, is it, in at short leg? I was hit in the face once fielding there.
Were you?
Yeah.
Did you have a lid on?
No. Don't think they'd been invented. Turned away and put my hands up and it burst through my hands, which took a bit of the pace out, straight into my cheekbone.
Ouch. Well, luckily these days, short leg fielders do have usually all the clobber. Doesn't look like he's got any of the shin guards on, but certainly boxing helmet. I've actually taken a couple of catches at short leg in my
yeah, I did. That's
amateur career.
That's why I kept getting shoved in there.
Yeah. Short ball then, hooked away, and that should be for 1 bounce. So I think fair to say Matt Montgomery was expecting that one.
Ben Compton, do you still want me here, Skip? Crikey.
I'm not sure. I think if it happens once more, he won't be in there for much longer.
No, it was a little bit telegraphed, wasn't it? Bowled a couple of very decent bounces to him and then pops a short leg in, so he knew another one was coming.
That was a bit of a long hop. Full delivery this time, and really nicely played back past the bowler, and for 4 runs. Stewart diving but can't block it. It's ended up being a bit of a sort of leg stump half volley or attempted Yorker that's been dug back past Gilchrist. So boundaries in successive deliveries for Nottinghamshire. 109 for 3.
Yeah, he can play, Montgomery. He can play. Nice shot from him. Moves on to 13.
Gilchrist once more. Go short, and this time it does drop into a kind of leg gully area. Short leg might have been interested for a moment, but then realised that it was going well to the keeper's left. So I suspect Compton might be no longer required with the helmet.
Wondered where he'd gone, but he was actually standing behind the stumps there. Just waiting for his cue, and Harry Finch had run off to fetch the ball back from short long leg. Short long leg? You know what I mean. short fine it was running down there.
Gilchrist has gone for a couple of boundaries in the over, then still got 2 more balls. It's Hamid who's on the front foot and steering into the onside for 1. Yeah, I wonder if would it not be better to prompt in a kind of leg gully position here if they're going to carry on with that tactic. Or he's sort of loitering with intent.
Yeah, he's going back in there.
He's going at short leg instead. Leaning going out to long leg, and then there's a fine leg. So they're going to presumably try it one more time. Short ball from Gilchrist. Over the keeper's head. And 4.
Getting away with it a little bit at the moment, Matthew Montgomery. I wouldn't necessarily say there's any sort of weakness in his game against short pitch bowling. Of course, everybody's got a weakness against really accurate, really fast short pitch bowling. It's been right on the money here, and at the moment he's riding his luck a little bit, but it's moved on to 18. Hamid also has 18, 115 for 3 knots, and they need 145 from 27 overs. Eminently gettable, but the knots we've seen in this competition also only seems to be a wicket or 2 away from a dramatic collapse, and somebody's going to have to hold their hand up here, if not, so going to challenge a 260 target to get the win. Got a bowling change at the far end. And,
Parkinson's coming on. So Qadri withdrawn from the attack, despite his 5 overs, 2 for 27.
So these two will know each other, Matt Parkinson and Hamid, 2 sons of the Red Rose County.
Yeah, both playing their cricket elsewhere these days, although Parkinson is, as you've been saying, Dave, a Lancashire player. He was saying to us earlier on in the competition, when the 2 teams met, that no split loyalties for him. He's going to be a Kent player next year. May well have played his last game for Lancashire, so he's a Kent man now. And played off the back foot here by Hamid. Out towards Shaden Denley, patrolling the cover boundary on the hospital side. So 2 for Hamid makes him 20 not out after 20 balls. Montgomery's only faced 10. It feels like he's had a very lively start, but has managed to put 18 runs on the board. Feels like that short pitch tactic is a little bit risky from Kent. It's certainly leaked some runs, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he got 3 boundaries in that over.
Gone back to Parkinson, the top wicket taker so far in the competition. There's a shout for a stumping. Smart work by Harry Finch behind the wicket. Hamid just groping forward in defence.
Possible to have any point of view from here, really, other than say the umpire was well positioned, well placed. Wasn't the most confident appeal I've ever seen from a wicket keeper. It was a polite enough inquiry. Bit of crowd noise because they saw the bail flying. I think it was a little bit of wishful thinking on their behalf.
So Parkinson turning that one past the batter for me. He's also got this slope to use as well. This one left alone outside the off stump. So the slope might just help the odd ball maybe hold its line and not turn as expected. And he'll look to try and spin it past the outside edge of the right-hander's bat. Lobs this one up, driven hard by Hamid. Up towards long off for a single. So 118 for 3. Almost at the midpoint of the innings. Notts just edging slightly ahead on DLS, but That's merely an indicator of this run chase, you feel, as this one is driven square out to Compton for a single by Montgomery. Dave's going to go and update BBC Radio Nottingham. Matt will be back to update BBC Radio Kent. As Parkinson is in again. Clipped away, out towards leaning, no run.
The end of the over there, 119 for 3 then. The Outlaws going at exactly 5 and over through 24. With Hamid on 21, Montgomery on 19. Update coming for BBC Radio Kent listeners as well. Just went out to do a lap. I was apprehended, was stopped in my tracks by one Mitchell Claydon, who's just popped in to say hello to a few former colleagues, and it's great to see him doing some umpiring now in Australia. So he's on the Cricket Australia list, going to do some Women's Big Bash, working his way up basically of the I'm hoping that's in common knowledge. He's certainly been standing umpiring, so people have seen it, but yeah. So always great to see him. He is a proper character. Always something happening when he's about, so yeah, came to say hello to his former Kent teammates. Pop in and watch some cricket as well. Here for a wedding, I believe, says Mitch, but his teeth whiter than ever. 119 for 3.
As white as the cricket ball we're using.
Indeed, yeah. So Gilchrist will bowl from this pavilion end.
Still going with his short ball tactics seemingly from the field.
Yeah. Good call with a short leg in there, outside the off stump. It's a sort of good length, that one, if you call that a good length, depending on what his field is, but a little bit of width as well. So cut away for a single by Montgomery, and Hamid's on strike, and once again the Duckworth Lewis is roughly where Nottinghamshire are, so they're a little bit ahead of that. They're doing okay, and we're almost halfway through this innings. Nothing to show really between these two sides as Gilchrist hairs into Hamid, and he just pushes that away down to third man and dealt Belldrummond Fields. And a single taken, 121 for 3.
I wonder how long Kent will persist with Gilchrist in this spell, because actually the extra pace on the ball seems to have been welcome for the Nottinghamshire batters.
Haven't had an over of Denley yet, have we? I wonder if they might. But perhaps that's easier to do when a wicket falls, maybe. You've got a new batter in, but it's Gilchrist bowls now. And Montgomery turns it with very little panic into the onside, backward a square, single taken, 122 for 3. So singles off the first 3 balls.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some double spin.
So Chat Leading still has overs up his sleeve, so too Hamid Qadri, of course. It just brought Parkinson into the attack. With 2 right-handers now, Hamid 22 from 25. On BBC Radio Kent and BBC Radio Nottingham. One Day Cup cricket lifted, just short of Daniel Belldrummond. A deliberate shot by Hamid. I think he was trying to clear, perhaps go a little bit squarer, and maybe even lift that for 6. But rising delivery, wasn't in full control of it by any means. It just dropped short of Daniel Belldrummond on the boundary.
Yeah, it would have been a massive error if it had picked him out. Big wide open space to try and cut that ball into, and in the end he almost did land it straight in the palms of Belldrummond.
Yeah.
Just short.
So another single taken. That's what the scorecard says. That one's cut away. Daniel Belldrummond is in action again. Ball's following him around. Well, just coming to him actually at third. And then another single. So feels more like a spinner's return, doesn't it? 5 singles, single off each ball, but it's been a lot less procedural than some of those mid-overs when you get off the spinners, if that makes any sense to you out there.
Yeah, surprising there hasn't been a boundary possibly.
124 for 3. Hamid faces once again, 23 from 26. Good ball again from Gilchrist. They will tuck this into the onside for a single though. And shy at the stumps by Finch at the far end. The keeper has taken the keeping glove off to try and throw down the stumps at the far end, but nothing doing. And so 6 off the over, 1 off each ball, 125 for 3. Nottinghamshire Outlaws. Update coming for BBC Radio again, listeners, very shortly. Oh, and as I mentioned that, the shopkeeper appears, in the words of the great Mr. Ben, but it's going to be an update instead. Again, I know what I mean.
The shopkeeper?
Mr. Ben, the kids' cartoon. And almost at once the shopkeeper appears. There we go. Anyone with me? Silence. Tumbleweed. 125 for 3. That was my youth anyway. Commentary. Continuing after this update for BBC Radio Kent listeners. Still very even. Glenn 125 for 3. Nottinghamshire now. Hamid has 24. Montgomery 22. And we look at the par score, and Nottinghamshire just a little bit ahead of that at the moment. Kent hoping to take more wickets than they've taken already. 2 for Qadri and a run out. The last one to go. Martindale going for 38. Ben Compton with the run out for the Spitfires, who made 259 for 9 after winning the toss and electing to bat first. A big opening stand between Daniel Bale-Drummond and Ben Compton. Bale-Drummond made 79, Compton 59 and 138 opening stand, but they found it very difficult to accelerate after that. It looks like Nottinghamshire having the same difficulties. They might be just putting their noses ahead of Kent here, but they've still got half their innings to come. 125 for 3. Commentary continuing of this very, very tight game via the BBC Sport website and app. I should say as an appeal, as you heard on the effects microphone there, but it looked very much like it was going down the leg side from Parkinson. Notwithstanding, he'll be trying to spin the ball away from the right-hander. Gives that one some air, and it's forcefully driven up towards long off by Hamid. He takes a single, and Montgomery comes on a strike. He's on 22 from 14. Which is delightfully brisk in the context of this game, it has to be said. Going at more than a run a ball. 2 to come. Parkinson. Little paddle. Well, you heard what Hamid at the far end thought of that run. No. And denied that one, just trying to work that away again with a paddle pass. Grant Stewart, who was alert at third. Can come then from Parkinson, just 1 off the over so far. Make that 2 as it's cut away. Fielded by the left hand of Ben Compton on the run at point. 127 for 3. A good over for Kent, that one.
Just 2 runs from it, yeah, and only took about 80 seconds to get through it. 127 for 3. Looked a high risk attempt by Matthew Montgomery for that 5th ball, just trying to scoop it away nice and fine, but there was a fielder there ready, so could have got himself into a little bit of trouble. Perhaps best all round if he didn't make contact with it. He's going to bowl from this end. They're going to be Nathan Gilchrist to continue. 6 bowlers used by Jack Leaning, including himself, bowled 6 overs at the top of the innings. There's Gilchrist then. Into bowl to Matthew Montgomery. He'll just play this deftly off his thigh pad onto the leg side, takes a single. 128 for 3. This pair came together at the fall of Martindale's wicket. That unnecessary run out. 92 was on the board then, so 36 they've added. Looking to double that and more. As Gilchrist bowls and Hamid leaning back cuts it nicely away. We'll get a couple of runs. Bale-Drummond does the fielding. Strong throw to the wrong end, I suppose, the non-striker's end, but there were backer-uppers there ready. Hamid on to 27, 130 for 3. So Notts are exactly halfway. They're just over the halfway stage in the number of overs, but 130 runs gathered, 130 more needed. As Gilchrist in again, and he went hard at that one. Hamid didn't get anything on it. They're not skipper as it goes through to Finch. Sets off on his little walk towards square leg, rehearses the shot, and then comes back. Almost a modern day Chris Tavares, who was very popular in these parts way back when. Gilchrist in again to Hamid, drives it back to the bowler. Picture of Chris Tavares and all the other Kent players on the wall as we make the journey up the steps here to our commentary position. It seems around about 2018, I think they stopped putting the pictures up, so there'll be an awful lot of work for somebody one day. Everybody that's played for Kent since 2018 needs to join that long line. Some very well-known names. Next one is cut to backward point. All those players I used to watch as a youngster whenever Kent came close to Nottinghamshire or to Trent indeed. The Gilchrist and your Denesses and your Notts and your Underwoods and your Ealhams, John Dye, Stuart Leary, Asif Iqbal, Bernard Julian. Pictures of them all on the wall. There's Gilchrist in again. Bowled him! Terrific delivery through the defences of Hamid. His highest score of the competition, but there'll be very little satisfaction from the Notts skipper or the Notts camp. Half the run is still required. He's gone for 27 with a lovely bit of bowling from Gilchrist. The fancy it just came back into Hamid and clipped back the top of the off stump. And that's a really, really important moment you fancy in the day for Kent. Notts 130 for 4 with Hamid, the talismanic skipper, on his way back to the dressing room. His work is done, and it's going to be left to Matthew Montgomery and those that are to follow. Montgomery's got 24. Just wonder if Sammy King might find his way out onto the field at number 6. Let's have a look in a moment. But Hamid has gone. Gilchrist with his first wicket of the day, 130 for 4. Got Toby Petman coming out, but he's 12th man and he's bringing the drinks. No, it is going to be Liam Patterson-White, LPW, left-hander. Stocky, hard-hitting all-rounder. On his way out to the middle to join Matthew Montgomery. And this game very much up for grabs. Liam Patterson-White, well, 16, 19, 13, 21 and 8 in the competition with the bat. He'll be another one looking for a sizable contribution. It's been like that for Notts. 5 matches they've played. Of course, it was a complete washout at Trent Bridge against Yorkshire on the club's scheduled family day. Could almost have called it off the day before. It rained that heavily on the Friday and the Friday night. Got there on the Saturday morning and there were lakes all over the Trent Bridge outfield. It just didn't stop raining, and it was early afternoon when it was called off. But the matches they have played, there's not been too many sizable contributions with the bat. That's been the downfall. Will this be the day that Notts can get over the line with a successful run chase? And will it be this pair? Matthew Montgomery has 24. He's joined by Hamid. That was the end of the over. So it will be Qadri coming back into the attack.
We were just chatting before that, Gilchrist, over about Jack Leaning keeping him on rather than the spinners, which were going for fewer and over, but Leaning bargaining on Gilchrist making a breakthrough, and an important one he has right at the end of that 27th over. He does take the wicket, and see advantage Kent now. The par score is just in Kent's favour now, so it gives you an idea of how carefully this is poised. with 23 overs to go. Qadri. This is that one into Montgomery. Takes a quick single, shy at the stumps at the far end by Finch. Once again, he's an absolute live wire and hasn't kept that much during his career, but we don't have time to go into the Kent wicket keeping chronicles, but Finch, I have to say, has taken some fantastic catches and looked every inch as if he's been doing it throughout his career. Really lively behind the stumps. Great hands. 131 for 4. Single taken. And Qadri goes round the wicket, or comes round the wicket to Liam Patterson-White, who bowled excellently. What about his batting now? He waits for this one and drives it into the offside. He'll take a single, no more than that. This fielding comes in from the offside. One of the 12ths, I think. Is that Will Harvey out there? Could be. 132 for 4 then, Nottinghamshire here. In need of a little bit of a rebuild, perhaps, or it's a ramp shot by Montgomery. Takes a single. He was looking for that one in the previous over off Parkinson, I think, and got it. Parkinson's been taken off, and not through any fault of his own, I would say. They're just rotating the bowlers here. Parkinson 2 overs down for 6, I think, or rather behind Harry Finch, who's up to the stumps course for the bowling of Hamid Qadri. Up to middle, no run.
Should have been 4 matches today, or there have been 4 matches today in this competition. Results in 2 already. Lancashire have beaten Surrey, and Somerset have beaten Durham in the other group.
Yeah, in this group, 2 run chases. Ooh, that's beaten him, I think. Come off the thick outside edge and down to Parkinson at 3rd. Yeah, 2 run chases there. Lancashire eating up 153 for loss of none. And then what are Yorkshire doing now against Hampshire?
I was just going to say, but that's going to be over very shortly as well.
It didn't look like it was long for this world. As Qadri full length delivery into the offside, no run.
Set to score 312 to win.
Yeah.
Yorkshire 55 for 7.
Yes.
The end of Qadri's over here at the Spitfire Ground. 133 for 4. Nottinghamshire another 127 required from 22 overs.
Yes, so it looks like Yorkshire will lose that one again. For those chasing Hampshire at the top, that's good news, isn't it? Because Yorkshire are the nearest to Nottinghamshire and Kent below them at the moment.
So the Spitfire Ground, is that purely a nod to the Battle of Britain and Britain's heritage, or is it a sponsorship deal with the light refreshment that you can...
it's what they call in the marketing game synergy, I think,
right,
Dave.
Okay.
Bit of both.
Parkinson's changed ends. It's going to be bowling to Matthew Montgomery. Tosses it up. Montgomery uses his feet to skip out of his crease, gets to the pitch of it and drives it up to the Italian stallion, Grant Stewart, at mid-on, and there's no run. 133 for 4. Montgomery with burden of responsibility on his shoulders. This is a little push and run into the offside. They've got home, but that had to be carefully judged. That could have just got a little messy had either of them hesitated. Pushed straight towards Ben Compton. Single taken, 134 for 4. The day has been very pleasant indeed. Just getting a little cooler out there, you'd imagine. There's a little more cloud than at the start, but we've got shadows from the sun around the players. Nice to see the floodlights not used. And a pleasantly warm day. 134 for 4. We might just have an outbreak of cricket any moment now. There's an awful lot of thinking going on about the field setting to the new man, Liam Patterson-White, who drops it on the leg side. More theory than Darwin out there on the field. Who's that? Who's the noisy one? Somebody chirping away out there. There's always one in every team, isn't there? Parkinson bowls. And Liam Patterson-White, LPW, goes on the sweep and sweeps it to DBD along the ground.
Well, it would definitely be Sam Billings if he were in the side. So, is it the keeper? They're not a tremendously chatty side, Kent, generally. So it might be Harry Finch just having a...
Somebody chirping away, isn't there? Patterson bowls, nicely played by Patterson-White. Drives it down the ground to the man with no name. Who's this down here?
Just here.
Yes.
I think this might be Will Harvey, one of the 12s.
But I say at Trent Bridge throughout the game, Alex Blake didn't have a name or a number on his white shirt. He just hadn't played any red ball cricket for a number of years, so he had a plain shirt. But he's all logoed up with the Kent number 10 on his back. As this is softly played by Montgomery, takes a single, but. It's easy to confuse an idiot. I was momentarily confused there with somebody with no name did the fielding. End of the over. Matt Parkinson again bowling very tidily, very nicely. 136 for 4. 28 to Matthew Montgomery and 2 to Liam Patterson-White here on BBC Kent Sport, BBC Radio Nottingham, and I know many of you are enjoying the pictures online.
Though we do understand I've had some trouble with those this afternoon, so I hope you're back on. But yes, I've been sent the Kent squad, including the 12s. There we go. I'm pretty sure that is Will Harvey. But Qadri to bowl gives that quite a lot of air. Montgomery just steers it into the offside, fielded by Blake, who does have a 10 on his shirt when he's fielding, and didn't have a number when he was batting, unless he had a jumper on, which I think might be a little bit overkill on a day like today for Alex Blake. But quicker ball from Qadri, stifled appeal. Jack Leaning liked it at mid-wicket. Neither keeper nor bowler appeal. I think that tells you a lot. Not out. 136 for 4 in short. Qadri, again competitive air, and that has turned. Montgomery looks at it suspiciously as it grips. And bounces off him, I think. It might come off the thigh pad eventually. 136 for 4. So 3 dots to start. Kent trying to build pressure here. Qadri to Montgomery. Comes down the pitch to him. Leading gets a hand to it. They'll come through for a single. Good tight over so far, though.
All the hours you've spent with Jack Leaning on away grounds, away trips around the country, surely at some point you've said, can you just lean against that lamppost, Jack? You must have done it, got a photo of him leaning on a lamppost.
I have not, and I apologise every time I mention the word lean in his respect, but no, not going there.
Had to have been done.
I think that's a pun so glaringly obvious, even I wouldn't take it.
Oh, I would. Bit of George Formby.
Oh, I see. Sorry, crikey, I was missing the that's one for the kids there.
Yep.
Take Olivia Rodrigo and don't forget George Formby. That's launched, and that will be 4 at least. Yep. 1 bounce, in fact, just beside the left-hand side of the Les Ames stand. He's picked up off the length. Lovely shot from Liam Patterson-White, and that is 4. He goes on to 6. And absolutely true hit against the spinner. The true hit against the spinner. Against the left-hander, he's moving the ball slightly away from him. It struck across the spin. 4 runs.
Yeah, that's one of his strong areas. I'm surprised Kent haven't got anybody out there for that for him.
So again, more air up in the air, taken as it is. In the end, it was easy for Alex Blake at backward point, just stooping forward. I thought it was going to be short of him for a second, but Patterson-White, having launched one over long on for 4, has thick edged that one Up in the air to backward point. Blake had a good look at it. I thought it was going to be too late for a second. Judged it perfectly though. Patterson White goes for 6. Another wicket for Kent. Another one for Qadri as well. He has 3 of the 5 to fall. Nottinghamshire 141 for 5, chasing 260 to win at the Spitfire Ground.
I would say Kent now strong favourites. Maybe 65 or 70% on one of those predicted things. Still a little bit in the shed for Notts, but that's a significant blow to get Notts 5 down with still 120 runs or so required. Who's coming in? It is Sammy King on his way out to the middle, coming in at 7. Tall right-hander, took a catch at the back end of the Kent innings. This is his first full game for the Notts first team. He did 2 years ago against Glamorgan at Sapphire Gardens, Cardiff. He did enter the game as a concussion sub after Lyndon James had been rattled around the helmet, had to retire hurt. So they kitted up Sammy King and sent him out there. But this is his first full game selected in his own right, and what an opportunity to make an impression today. If he can get some runs, all the better. If he can stick around with Matthew Montgomery or whoever's to come, equally good. But he's got a role to play here. 141 for 5.
Yeah, through 30 overs then, Kent were 150 for 2, and have their noses in front now.
This is Parkinson bowling to Montgomery, drives into the offside, and Sammy King not having too long to hang around at the non-striker's end, wondering as and when he's going to get involved in the action, because he's straight down into the firing line, going to be facing Matt Parkinson, and Parkinson brings the field in. He's a great one for knowing what field he wants, and we'll be looking to tighten the screw here. Vastly experienced player, of course, now, Matt Parkinson. Kent have got a good one here, twirling the ball from hand to hand, and he comes to bowl to King, tosses it up there. Oh, that's lovely! That's lovely from Sammy King. I don't think it'll go for 4, but a very elegant straight drive. Grant Stewart's just going to drag it back, and they're going to push hard and come back for 3. Well, that's not bad, is it? She's striking at 300. Sammy King, 3 first balls straight down the ground. Good hard running as well. That's 145 for 5.
I mean, I know it's not a competition, but just to say that Jaden Denley hit his first ball for 4, but you know, 300, 400. Great start, lovely shot.
Parkinson now to Montgomery, and a little drop and run from Matthew Montgomery. I would imagine Kent feel right now that Montgomery is the one they want. You're the one that I want. We've got Matt Cole's highest snooker break up on the board, and we haven't, because it went to 147 and then came back to 146. Next delivery, and it's way, and King goes to pull it away on the leg side. Snooker man?
No. Bit of pool in my youth, but that's about it. Yeah, it's too big a snooker table. You might as well be
Table's too big, pockets are too small.
Might as well be playing a field sport at that point. I can barely see the other end. Might as well be out playing cricket or football.
Parkinson bowls to King. He's going to add to his total here, driving it square of the wicket on the offside. Now we have got Matt's fantasy highest snooker break on the board. 147 for 5. 113 more required.
Go with the first digit of that, certainly.
There's only 19 overs left after this one. 113 from 19. So Notts with a bit of work to do. Attempted reverse, in fact a connected reverse by Montgomery. Should get 2 runs here. See, plays it out towards those luxury apartments. End of the over, 149 for 5 after 31. Nice to see a few people watching as well. in the luxury apartments, right in the middle there. There's three gents in their shorts watching the action. They've got a really good view, haven't they? That's a good spot. Away to our left. That's an excellent spot.
I think it's fair to say you do. They are not cheap, those apartments, but you do get a premium view, don't you? Crikey. If you're a cricket fan, couldn't be much better. If you're a King cricket fan, icing on top of the cake. There we are. Trying to convince my other half that a move to Canterbury is... yeah. Well, I certainly haven't got the fun, so maybe she's got some stored down the back of the sofa. It's not worked quite yet. 149 for 5. Qadri, short trip to a day's commentary as well. Nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, King on 4 faces. Qadri has 3 wickets already. He's bowling his 8th here for the Spitfires. Nottinghamshire 149 for 5. Down the pitch comes King. Not afraid to use his feet. Tall man. And straight into the onside, fielded by Jack Leaning, the Kent Spitfires captain. Qadri 3 for 35, starting this over. Parkinson has none for 17. From his 4, Qadri gives up plenty of air. King waits for it, turns it into the onside. Once again with the spin for the right-hander. Finds Compton a backward square, the former Notts man, of course. Down to a glorious scene with the sun out here. Just catching the trees at the far end. A couple of gulls making their way overhead. That's Qadri driven by King. That's a lovely straight drive again, or on drive. Fielded by Daniel Bell-Drummond. Brilliant fielding. Comes back in. Accurate throw as well. Keeps them to 2. 151 for 5 though, Nottinghamshire. The 150 comes up for them in the 32nd.
Good cricket all round.
Yeah.
Lovely shot from King, and they both ran hard to get the 2, but good work from Bell-Drummond to prevent the boundary. And a good throw as well.
Quickly across the ground there, and over the wicket comes Qadri. It's a quicker delivery from Qadri, and he had to adjust. Wasn't coming down the pitch to that one. Into the onside, no run. So 2 balls come at Qadri's over. Just 2 off it so far. Again, hoping to keep things tight with the spinners, certainly. As Qadri bowls, this is into the onside. Having said that, 1 bounce. And my view of Nathan Gilchrist somewhat obstructed by a large pillar of the pavilion here. But I like to use that as an excuse, Dave, whenever I make a really big mistake, is there's always a pillar in the way. So just that's a trick of the trade, which I'd only tell you, of course.
Yeah. Well, there's some commentators that we work with that aren't happy if they've not got a view where they're right in line of the wicket. I don't like to have a good view of the LBWs.
Here's Qadri to Montgomery into the offside, and they'll take 2. It's well judged, actually, out towards Jaden Denley.
I like the get out. Well, we're looking at it from long on.
I'm with you as well. That's fine. 155, 154 for 5. 5 taken off the over, so not a bad return for the Nottinghamshire pair. 7 for King, 35 Montgomery.
Yeah, let the umpires make the decision. That's what they're there for. 106 required. Is that 31 or 32 gone? 32 gone, so 18 overs. 106 from 18 overs, folks. You'd fancy this in your club game on a Saturday, wouldn't you? You'd back yourself to get home from there, surely. Or would you, if you're a strong bowling side? We've got them where we want them. Matt Parkinson will certainly think he can spin to win here. It's going to be bowling to Sammy King, who's on 7.
I think some of the, these days the DRS etc. have slightly ruined my impression, not of umpires so much, but of players. I'll tell you why in a second.
Parkinson tosses it up. Sammy King defends.
You watch players in the county game, and they're not out. They never touch that. That was a ridiculous LBW decision, and you get the same at test level, and they're having the same reactions, and you find out they're out, and then you go, well, perhaps not infallible totally. Not every batter knows when they're out or not.
Some of the snicks behind at the review.
Yeah.
King will rock back deep into his crease, punch it Away onto the offside for a single. Is that James Baisley fielding out there? I can see the 77, James Baisley.
Yeah.
155 for 5, so 105 more as we knock on the door of 5 o'clock. Should know in about an hour, shouldn't we, where the points are going, as this one's chopped away on the offside, unless there's an almighty collapse. Could be done in 10 minutes. 156 for 5 here on BBC Kent Sport, BBC Radio Nottingham Online, the BBC bringing you all the matches in all the competitions throughout the summer. Parkinson bowls again. I think that was the googly. Came back into Sammy King, but he was waiting for it, and he's looked in reasonable touch here. Don't want to put the old hex on him, the hoodoo, the jinx, the curse. Just let him go about his work, enjoy his time out in the middle. He's had to run on with an awful lot of drinks and towels and spare gloves in the matches so far in this season's competition. Deserves his opportunity today. This one's hit back to the bowler by Montgomery, who's on 36. Notts require 103 more. Don't think it can be the keeper who's doing the shouting out there, because it would have been holding play up as Montgomery chops this out to point. That's the end of the over. 158 for 5. Time for me to do a disappearing act again.
Great day, thank you very much. Off to update BBC Radio Nottingham listeners. 158 for 5. And I think Ben will come in beside me here. End of the over then. And leaning. Captain Jack leaning. He's not bringing himself on. He's going to bring Jaden Denley on, in fact. The young left arm spinner. This is third game in first team cricket. And we haven't mentioned it already or emphasised. Nephew of Joe Denley, who was doing some warm-ups during the interval actually, just trying to come back from injury himself. Enchanted to think that Jaden and Joe might at some point play a first team game for Kent.
Wouldn't Sunday be a good day for it?
Oh.
At Canterbury against Essex.
Yeah, it certainly would be.
A big call from Jack leaning to bring Jaden into the attack at this point.
So we saw him bowl against Surrey, took 1 for 20, took a wicket in his first 3 balls, in fact, in his third ball, but didn't bowl against Middlesex? No, just got 6 on that occasion. So the left armour bowling to Montgomery, who's on 37 and 33. James Baisley is dispatched to the long on boundary. Ben Compton comes in a little bit closer at mid-wicket. Here is Denley then, round the wicket, quick delivery. Not quite speared in, but not given much opportunity to spin either. And a single run up to that man at long on. And King takes strike. 159 for 5. As you say, interesting from leaning, because he's got plenty of overs to rotate here among the bowlers he's already used, I would say, isn't he? So he's already used 6. Denley straight back at him, and there's no run. King, in comparison, Denley is ridiculously experienced, as this is his third game in One Day Cup cricket. 2 young players making their way as King plays it into the onside. Compton fields this time on the dot ball. I tell you what, he's getting through this over quickly. There's a buzz with energy is Jaden Denley anyway, and bowls now to King. That's just beaten Compton, who has the second attempted a run at it. They'll come through for a 2. Now Jaden Denley, he kind of mimes his with his left arm before, so he's got the ball in his right hand. He kind of whips his left hand out.
It's a bit of a flick, isn't it?
And then it's a bit of a flick when he bowls as well. So it's almost a mime, but more sort of horizontal, isn't it? So you say it's a bit of a flick with the left arm, and then he transfers the ball from right to left and and bowls it. Single off that one, so 4 off the over so far. The required rate still isn't huge for Lancashire though. The deeper they get in that, the more they'll be looking at thinking, we need 6-7 off the last over. Won't be upset with that, I would have thought. There's a little ramp from Montgomery, just takes the single down to Grant Stewart at fine leg, and that is the end of the over. 5 off it, 163 for 5 then. Warm applause from this Canterbury crowd for Jaden Denley. You can understand why as well. Very much one of their own. Coming through the academy, 163 for 5. Yeah, Kent just putting their noses in front here, I'd say, Glenn. They've taken another wicket since we last joined you, another 2 actually. Hasib Hamid being bowled by Nathan Gilchrist. The Kent bowler again, he wanted to nip back the fast bowler to take Hamid's off stump. And then the last wicket to go, Liam Patterson-White just getting the ball to loop up off the bat. Qadri getting the ball to loop off Patterson White's bat. He went for 6. Nottinghamshire 163 for 5. I can tell you that quite clearly. Ooh, it's another great delivery from Matt Parkinson here. So Nottinghamshire against the par score are a bit behind. So Kent are just getting themselves in front, but still the required rate for Nottinghamshire is only about a run a ball. Should be doable, could be doable, unless Kent take more wickets. They're after them now. Commentary continuing via the BBC Sport website and app. Now remind me who is batting and who is bowling, and we'll be fine. So Parkinson from the pavilion end. There was a shout for a stumping. I don't think Montgomery had moved out of his crease, Ben Haddy, and
no, it was neat work by Harry Finch. But as much as anything, I think he's sending a little message to the batter that delivery's beating you there, pal. And that's the problem. If you try and get aggressive against Matt Parkinson as a right-hander, he has that capacity to turn it past your outside edge. So a little warning for Montgomery, who's on 39. Parkinson to him, just more watchfully playing this one into the offside for a single. Nice work by Compton at point. But as you say in your update there, Matt, I think you've pretty much summed it up. That on the Duckworth-Lewis at the moment, Kent ahead, having taken 5 wickets, but they need to keep taking wickets, because if Notts can get a partnership together, or if they give themselves, however many off the final couple of overs, if they can stay in touch with this rate, then they'll have a sniff at taking it deep and getting over the line in the run chase. Parkinson, oh beauty, that might be stumped. This time it is. Sammy King goes. Wonderful drift from Matt Parkinson, and the rookie done by the experience and the craft of the former England international, and then Harry Finch doing the rest behind the stumps to just ease off the bails. So King departs for 12, stumped by Finch off Parkinson, and another big wicket for Kent, with Nottinghamshire reduced to 164 for 6.
This highlights what an asset Kent have, well, I say potentially certainly got with Matt Parkinson in this form of cricket. I'll say particularly against lower order batters who haven't seen very much leg spin. He's got all the wiles, Parkinson, and he's just very, very tricky to play, and King has gone there. I won't say a rush of blood, but certainly rushing at the bowler. Brilliant from Parkinson, floating the ball in, 164 for 6. And has taken a wicket which could prove to be invaluable. The Duckworth-Lewis goes up to about 188 now, but the 6 wickets will tell you is Kent are getting through the Nottinghamshire order here and putting big pressure on them as Dane Schardendorf comes out, 164 for 6. And just a word about Harry Finch. Ben, I was trying to put that into context for perhaps Nottinghamshire listeners and for Kent listeners. He is not a man that's kept through his whole wicket kept for his whole career, but he pretty much looks like it. He's so sharp behind the stumps and is agile behind them as well. Some incredible takes we've seen through this one-day cup as well. Doesn't look out of place. He doesn't look like a part-timer. He's not And no disrespect to him, he's not an Ollie Pope with the Test team, is he? This is a proper looking wicketkeeper.
Yeah, I really like Harry Finch as a wicketkeeper, to be honest. He's a really good fielder anyway. You know, he's a smaller guy, so he's quite low to the ground, very mobile, sideways, good agility, good hands, and yeah, he's been really like from the games we've seen of him so far this season. There's been quite a few. He's been behind the stumps with the gloves on, more so than he'd have expected going into this season, and actually he's kept absolutely beautifully. Looks like a real natural, and as you say, like he's been doing it for years when he hasn't. Only really taken it seriously in the last couple. So this one is a full delivery from Parkinson, and Schadendorf off the mark with a drive square of the wicket. Often you have two Danes in the same team, and that's first name rather than hailing from Denmark. But Schadendorf, the keeper, now it's about at number 8, and it's Montgomery now back onto strike, defends this next one into the onside. Feels like there's a little bit more onus and a little bit more expectation perhaps on the shoulders of Montgomery now, 40 not out, to try and shepherd this chase through. This one defended away. Back up the pitch. End of the over, 16546. Jack getting in touch with Brace on social media saying, would you please do a shout out for George Bland and his soon-to-be wife Olivia Waddington cheering on Kent the week before their wedding. We hope you have a fantastic day.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. Have a great one. Let's hope it's as exciting as this match, but in different ways, obviously. I don't know where
Hopefully it'll be more memorable.
I don't know where I'm going with that. 165 for 6, making a very clumsy broadcasting link. Jaden Denley to continue from the Nackington Road end. So the required rate up at 6.3 now. Well, 15 overs remaining. They need 95. That probably is a little bit more explanatory, isn't it?
So Jaden Denley continuing.
Indeed. This one's propelled into the offside by Schadendorf, and they'll take a comfortable 2 in the end of the first ball from the young Kent left arm spinner.
Yeah, perhaps just the expectation on Denley eased by the wicket in the previous over.
Yeah. Again, it's bowling quite quickly, but up towards Daniel Bell-Drummond. They might come back for 2. They are. Bell-Drummond hurls the ball in.
Good fielding.
Very good fielding. Close to stumps, but I think, actually...
Good running in the end.
Yeah, Montgomery was well safe. He has 40 from 39. Big responsibility on him now to try and take this home for...
I don't quite know what happened to Qadri. He seemed to almost be wrong-footed at cover. Ended up on his knees.
Here's Denley, and this one's pulled away. Sounded like a thin sound, maybe off the bottom of the bat, but they come through for 2 again. And this is good news. So, for Nottinghamshire, consecutive 2s. That's 6 off the over already, and this is not what was required by...
boundary here, and they can get a really big over.
Absolutely right, yeah. And they need one at the moment, you feel, Nottinghamshire, just to right things. Get things on the level, single into the onside. And there's one very late from Kent. I think they took 17 off and over with 6s for Stewart and Baisley, and that was as high as it got. It's not been easy to score big from any of these overs, but they've got 7 so far. And now a sweep again from Montgomery. It's not going to beat the fielder on the boundary. That's Gilchrist going out there. And come back for 2. 174 for 6. I'm not quite sure what the applause was for.
I think probably just some good fielding from Gilchrist,
I thought there was a bit of a cheer as well. Always good to see Nathan Gilchrist herring around the boundary. 9 from the over. And that'll be all there is, as this one's just pushed back up the pitch towards Mid on, end of the over. 174 for 6 Nottinghamshire. They need 86 more off 14 overs. Schardendorf has 8 off 5. Montgomery 42 off 41 so far.
Yeah, I think Montgomery will just be saying to Dane Schardendorf, stick with me here. I need a bit of support. Calvin Harrison, Tom Loughton, Dane Patterson still to come. So they've got enough batting here, Nottinghamshire, to take it to the wire. Just 86 more required, but it's just a couple of mini partnerships. Whereas for Kent, they need to keep this rate of this knack of taking wickets up, because in terms of the run rate, Nottinghamshire are behind, but they're not far off. So just seeing Gilchrist doing a little bit of warming up, I wonder if a couple of overs from Jaden Denley, that little experiment might come to an end, and a more senior bowler come back on from the Nackington Road end in the next over. A little bit too easy to score off the previous one. That one cut away out towards cover. Leaning doing the fielding was saying the other day it's nice to have another northerner in the team, in Matt Parkinson. He bowls here and he's pulled away into the onside. There is a fielder, Jaden Denley, in the deep.
Different side of the Pennines though. Crikey,
Yeah,
that's a bit of a broad sweep, isn't it?
It was a very broad
Crikey.
sweep.
That's a lot of country up there.
But seemingly happy to have a former rival now as his teammate down here in Kent. Parkinson bowls, giving himself a little bit of room here. Montgomery smacks it hard into the offside. They should get 2.
So Mike from North London, he was down with the snooker loopy references, and Mr. Ben, thank you very much. As if by magic the shopkeeper appears. I quoted from that fantastic cartoon. You're probably way too young for that, Ben, I would imagine.
Yeah, that may have just gone straight over my head.
Fair enough. Yeah. Children's TV stays with you, doesn't it?
It does indeed. As Parkinson in, just clearing that front leg slightly. Slight misfield from leaning, which is a rarity. But Drummond doing the fielding. Yeah, Montgomery 45 now. Just looking to give himself a little bit of room to swing the bat hard. Parkinson with a couple of balls to go in the over. Schardendorf also maybe just giving himself a slight bit of room, but defends into the offside. So 4 from the over so far. Nottinghamshire 178 for 6, chasing 260 to win.
Just looking at the resources, there's overs all over the place for Jack Leaning. He just has to decide who's it's going to be.
Defended away, no big shot. So end of the over, 13 to go here on BBC Sport Online.
Ben, thank you very much. 178 for 6 there. Montgomery has 45. Schardendorf has 9. Oh, I just wondered why Ben was herring off there. I've just remembered. When you're out of the office, Dave, you see, suddenly you forget all the schedules and all the drive time clock, as they call it, going around the hour between 5 and 6. Ben's off to do talk cricket, football, all kinds of sport to our drive time team now, and which means a great pleasure of you going back onto the commentary box, into the commentary box here, and just still poised, I'd say. 178 for 6. Kent a bit ahead now, but
yes, definitely say so. Yeah.
I was saying Jack Leaning has all sorts of options. He's going to stick with Jaden Denley from the far end.
Be bowling to Matthew Montgomery on 45 from the Nackington Road end. 60. No, I'll get that right in a second. 82 required as Montgomery chops this out into the fast area away on the offside, gets a couple of runs, that takes it up to 180, and Montgomery on to 47. Whoever wins this is going to go third in the group tonight. This is drilled into the offside, slight misfield from leaning. The pros of that were it saved a boundary. The cons, it just ran away from him. They took a single. Leicestershire are going to be 10 points from 6 games. Hampshire are going to be 10 points from 6 games. And he's bowled Shadendorf, who tried to give himself a bit of room to heave it away onto the leg side, missed it, and has been comprehensively cleaned up by Denley. And if Kent were just a moment or two ago slightly ahead of the game there, almost 1 or 2 steps away from taking that third spot in the group right now. Shadendorf is out for just 9. Still a little bit to come, and Matthew Montgomery's still there, Calvin Harrison and Tom Lowton, and then a definite number 11 in Dane Patterson. Yorkshire are 9 wickets down, so they're going to lose. So the table is going to be Leicestershire and Hampshire, both going to be on 10 points from 6 matches. We'll have to see when the Hampshire-Yorkshire game finishes what the run rate is. Leicestershire well ahead of Hampshire, but it looks like Hampshire are going to win by 200 runs or so. So they're both going to be on 10 points. Lancashire 6 points from 6. Yorkshire are going to be 6 points from 6. And then forget about Middlesex, Essex and Surrey. This is Notts' 7th match. If they win from here, they would go third on 7 points. Kent will be on either 6 from 6 if they lose, or more likely now 8 from 6 and into third place if they win.
Yeah, and pretty much then one more win out the remaining 2 would do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So you've got Essex away and Hampshire away on the other
Essex home and then Hampshire
Essex
away.
Is here.
Yeah.
181 for 7. Newman out in the middle. Snuck out there, Calvin Harrison.
I should have known it's Matt Parkinson making the noise out there. But yeah, very chatty indeed.
So Denley with the wicket. His first of the day. Round the wicket he comes, slow left arm. Harrison wanted that first run there. He just dropped it behind square on an angle of 45. Set off running, but was quickly sent back. There was no chance of a run there. Fielded by Parkinson. Denley in again, scooped up onto the leg side, and they'll get a single. Just fell short of the skipper, throwing himself forward trying to catch it, and Harrison's got a fortunate run. 182 for 7. 78 required. 12 overs after this one. Denley to Montgomery. He's on 48. Little push, but he's pushed it straight to Jack Leaning. And that's the end of the over. Successful one for Jaden Denley. Spitfire Ground show their appreciation. And with 12 to go, Kent in the box seat, you'd say, unless somebody can stick around and Montgomery can start to just pick up a few more boundaries, can score quickly. It's looked very much to be just trying to get there to give his side, give himself a chance. Played very sensibly over the last half an hour or so. He's going to be facing Parkinson.
A bit like Nottinghamshire did, taking regular wickets through the innings here. Parkinson just floating the ball into leg stump. Harrison sees him off into the offside, but with Hamid going in the 27th, Patterson White in the 30th, King in the 35th, and now Shadendorf in the 38th as well. It's what they need to do, to be honest, because the required rate's only at 6.5, and a full toss from Parkinson, or made into it by Harrison, but he can't take advantage, using his feet well. but actually just drives the ball straight at Alex Blake at mid-wicket, who rolls his arm around, that eventually releases it to underarm to Matt Parkinson. Parkinson, Harrison keeps low and he tries to cut that away and does, but only to the man at point, Ben Compton, and there's no run. So pressure building from a Nottinghamshire point of view. 3 dots. How can Harrison respond here against the wiles of Matt Parkinson? Bowls now the leggy to Harrison, tries to turn that past the man at fine leg, but Qadri's there and there's no possible run there. And pressure, as I said, building on Calvin Harrison. Fielder dispatch, that's Nathan Gilchrist to long off. And loads of air given by Parkinson. That will be the first run of the over. He's driven past, leaning, single taken. So 183 for 7. And applause there for good fielding once again. The outfield from Daniel Bell Drummond. 1 to come then, Parkinson, and 1 taken from it. Let's Kent try and batten down the hatches here. Here's Parkinson once again. It's Montgomery has given himself time to look at that one, backs away, cuts it into the offside, and just 2 off the over. And yeah, rising applause from this Canterbury crowd, this Kent bowling effort. I recognise no wicket there, but an important over again from Matt Parkinson with just 2 off it. 184 for 7, and the required rate slipping up towards 7 now. Nottinghamshire need to find an answer. Acceleration doesn't look difficult on this pitch. Hasn't done all day, really.
76 required from 11. Montgomery now on 49 on strike. Don't think Kent will be overly bothered if he takes a single here to get to his 50. I'd like to bowl at Calvin Harrison right now, but he got 40 on Tuesday at Radlett, so he's in a little bit of form. This one is sent down by Denley. Montgomery pushes it to leaning at extra coverage. Saved no end of runs in that position today. The Kent skipper tossed up, and there is Montgomery's 50. Very nicely done. There seems to complete indifference here at the county ground. Now, once it's announced on the tannoy, 50 from 49 balls. Been at the crease for an hour and 12 minutes. 4 fours for Matthew Montgomery. That's his second in this season's competition. His last 3 innings, 42, 62, 40, and now 50 not out. So it's the sort of consistency he'd be looking for. This one's hit up in the air. Is it going to fall safe? I think it will. That's a little bit fortunate for Calvin Harrison. Went to pull it on the leg side, and it went straight up, just landed just outside the 30-yard circle, gets a single.
Couldn't have placed it better,
no.
I think. Perfect.
Dropped in a Bermuda triangle all of its own on the leg side. Denley in again. Montgomery tries to find a gap on the offside, drills it to leaning. Couple from this over, as Matt was saying there, when you need 7, you've got to get up there and challenge it. And again, it's chipped onto the leg side in the air, and this time they will come back for 2, so that's 4 off the over. And there's 1 more ball to come. Could do with a boundary here. Really do with a boundary. 188 for 7, 62 required. Getting in within range. Not so. That's nicely played by Montgomery, but didn't get enough on it. It's going to get a single. Just tried to play a cute little reverse, get it away fine for 4, but didn't get enough pace on it. Grant Stewart was able to cut it off a single, and Montgomery will keep strike. So 5 from that over. That's okay. 189 for 7, and we've had 40 overs. So here we go then into the 3rd and final power play with 71 required from 10.
They just need to take it deep here.
Yeah.
So just need to, as if it was the easiest thing in the world. But if they can do, it's the state the obvious perhaps, but those regular wickets falling are what's hurting them here. And Kent probably think they need to bowl Notts out here if they're going to avoid a very, very interesting finish. 89 for 7.
Tom Lowton dealing next. Made 44 on Tuesday. Dane Patterson actually hit a 6 in his 7 not out as well, but this pair here would hold the key, I think, if Notts are going to reach their victory target.
Some running repairs to the spikes there for Jack Leaning, I think, but now he's chatting to Nathan Gilchrist. He's brought him back into the attack. Interesting move, taking Parkinson out. He might change ends, I suppose. That's a possibility, but Gilchrist got them a wicket the last ball of his last spell, actually. They took him off immediately afterwards.
Yeah, Matt Parkinson, 8 overs, 1 for 29.
Yeah.
Economy rate of just over 3.5, 3.6.
So Gilchrist signalling to Jaden Denley, just moving him around the boundary a bit, square, deep square leg, inside part of the bat. He doesn't know where it is, the batter, for a second, but scampers through, does Montgomery. Actually, he slammed it into his foot. He may well have done, yeah. Gilchrist is a decent pace, and he's basically played down on that. It's hit his foot, it's bounced up. Montgomery doesn't know where it is. He basically sees Calvin Harrison looming in front of him and realises he has to get up the other end pretty quickly. A single taken, 990 for 7.
Yeah, Matt Montgomery says, "Oh, I remember you." It was him that hit him earlier on, wasn't it?
Yeah. He's set a decent pace is Nathan Gilchrist. This one gets up off a length outside the off stump, but nicely cut away by Harrison for a single. 191 for 7.
Yeah, 2 from 2. Start of this over. Boundaries, though. It's going to be the number of boundaries that Notts can hit in these last 10 overs. Not going to be able to do it in 1s and 2s.
No, absolutely. I think at this point, Kent happy with that, but there's the ball from Gilchrist up towards mid-on and Stewart Fields as Dave goes out to do an update. So Ben is talking to our drive show at the moment. I'll be updating them in a few short minutes, in fact. We might clash heads. So Nathan Gilchrist goes back. Big deep breath there. He's got a white bandage looking tubey grip on his left arm. Bowling right arm over though to Harrison, who just turns that down to fine leg. Glance off the hip. And singles taken off each ball of the overs so far. So at the moment they're coping with Gilchrist okay. The required rate's up at 7.2. 67 still to win. 9.2 overs in which to do it. Gilchrist into Montgomery, who's on 55, short and pulled down into the ground by Montgomery. Did well with that. Bit of a misfield by Denley, and they get another run, and Gilchrist was looking at the fielder and looks away, and a little shake of the head. Never pleased by that, the bowlers, are they? But it's also 6 off the over already for Nottinghamshire, 195 for 7. Comes in now, 17 on his back. Bowls to Montgomery, angles that away for a run. So 7 off the over, roughly what the required rate is as well. So it's a head scratcher for Jack Leaning at this point. It's certainly not done yet, this game. The deeper Notts can take it, the more you'll be convinced they can take a victory here from being slightly behind the par score. I mean, that would suggest they are 20 behind. What they've got to do to confound that, or to beat those odds, is to keep batters in, particularly Montgomery on 58. Jaden Denny will stay on at the far end. He's bowled 1 for 23 so far, so going at 5 3/4, and has taken the wicket of Dane Schardendorf. Nottinghamshire wicket keeper going, bowling it. Updating BBC Wicket Radio Kent radio listeners. Indeed, I think you've had a running commentary from Ben there, and it's been such an exciting game this. It's really close still, Glenn, as we sort of foresaw at the turn of the innings when Kent made 259 for 9 with a fine 59 from Compton, 79 from Daniel Bell Drummer, but found it difficult to make runs later in the innings. So too are Nottinghamshire under the Kent's bowling. They're 198 for 7 now. They need another 62 to win off just under 9 overs here. A great bowling from Jaden Denley, 17 years old, nephew of Kent stalwart Joe, of course, has taken the last wicket to fall, bowling Dane Schardendorf. Oh, has he got one there as well? Big appeal, didn't look bad. 198 for 7, it's turned down by the umpire. And then Sammy King just before that going to the expert wiles of the leg spinner Matt Parkinson, tempting him out of his crease to have him stumped by Harry Finch for 12. So Kent still have their noses in front, Glenn, as we speak here at the Spitfire Ground, St Lawrence, but could still go either way. 199 for 7, Nottinghamshire in the 42nd over, and commentary continuing via the BBC Sport website and app.
Denley bowls, Harrison cuts it into the offside. That'll bring the 200 up for Notts Outlaws, so 60 required. They've got 8 overs and 2 balls left. What's that? 50 balls. 60 from 50. Denley bowls, and Montgomery drives this one crisply straight down the ground. There might be a chance of 2. Yeah, Calvin Harrison coming back. It's a good throw, and Denley with arms and balls and body and all sorts manages to
he's sort of backhanded that, hasn't he?
Just about demolish the stumps at umpire Pollard's end.
Make a great scrum half, Jaden Denley. He's got the right stature, great quick hands as well, but yeah, batter was safe on this occasion. So
yeah. 2 taken. So 58 required, 202 for 7. Denley in again to Montgomery. He's on to 62. He's got runs here as well. In fact, just a single. He's hit it rather too well out to the cover sweeper. And that's the end of Denley's over. 203 for 7 after 42. Similar stage. Kent had 204 runs on the board. So absolutely neck and neck. But you just feel there's not a lot left in the shed, and that's with all due reference and everything to Tom Loughton and Dane Patterson. Just not got the number of wickets left to take 1 or 2 perhaps extra chances that they wouldn't want necessarily to take in the last 8 overs. Really do need a clean hitting display here from Montgomery and Harrison to get Notts home.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Montgomery is a key man here for Notts. 63 unbeaten. Kent just sending Alex Blake out to the deep mid-wicket boundary, deep square leg as well. Nathan Gilchrist, the bowler, drilled away square and half stopped by Compton at point.
Say 3 runs there, you know.
Yeah, good recovery as well to go and grab the ball, having half stopped it in the initial instance. And yeah, only 1 run managed, so brings Harrison back onto strike. Again, of course, a kind of mixed spin with seam for much of this innings. Thought Paisley bowled particularly well earlier on. Wonder if he'll be brought back on. Gilchrist at the moment, sliding this one down the leg side, and a wide signalled. It's been a little bit more expensive in terms of his economy rate, Nathan Gilchrist. Feels like perhaps Kent are just striving for that 1 more wicket to wrestle control of the latter stages here. Harrison on 6. Full delivery from Gilchrist, and well ran actually. Grant Stewart coming in at mid-on. Thought he might have a chance to throw down the stumps at the bowler's end, but Harrison was very quickly through for a single. So Notts on to 206 for 7. 54 to win.
It already feels fairly tense, doesn't it? And as you say, 54 to win. They're quite a long way from victory yet.
7 runs and over required. Montgomery on 64. Gets a short ball which he pulls away out towards Jaden Denley at deep square. 1 run will be taken.
Kent need 3 wickets. Notts need 53 runs. Kent the favourites, but you never know. It's not that bigger amount of runs, is it?
No, it's just a couple of mini partnerships for Notts.
I think this partnership's got to get them close.
Harrison on strike. Gilchrist to him. Pushes this nicely in the gap at cover point out towards Pearl Drummond in the deep. They're going to come back for 2 as well. Gone to the bowler's end here. Montgomery just stretching to get home in the end, and perhaps it was just the stretch that Gilchrist had to do to get to the stumps, which meant he had the time to get across that crucial line.
So I say they're having to take extra risks with the running that they could perhaps do away with if they could hit a few boundaries or if they'd got a few more wickets in hand, but they haven't. This is the situation.
Gilchrist in, giving himself a little bit of room here. Harrison then hooking into the leg side. There's no one out, a deep mid-wicket. Denley scampering around the boundary, won't get there, so it is a 4. Crucial one for Nottinghamshire. In fact, am I right in saying it's been since the 30th over? That's the first boundary that they've picked up.
I wouldn't be at all surprised.
That was Patterson White's 4. The ball before he was out to Qadri.
Yes, Montgomery's played very well. He's only hit 4. He'd only hit 4 fours in his 50.
And yeah, we're all pretty much in that first couple of overs from Gilchrist, weren't they?
In fact, he's still only hit 4.
Gilchrist bowls and it's pulled away into the leg side. There'll be 1 run here. They're going to come back for 2. Jaden Denley with a throw to the keeper, but they do indeed come back for 2. So a good over for Nottinghamshire to move their score on to 213 for 7. 47 more required from the final 7 overs of this match here at Canterbury on BBC Sport Online. Feels like it's going to go deep. Kent have done well in terms of keeping the runs down, keeping the boundaries to a minimum, clearly from that statistic there, but Notts hanging on in there and keeping up with this rate, which has just crept under 7 and over required.
Got 2 different scores. 213 for 7 on one scoreboard, 215 for 7 on the other. With one showing Harrison on 13, one showing him on 15. So from the Notts perspective, they'll be hoping the 215 is right. I'm sure they'll sort it out in a moment or 2.
I think it may well be, yeah.
So 43 overs have now gone. It's going to be Qadri to bowl again. I was entirely short.
It has now been updated, so 45 to win.
From 7.
Yes, Qadri coming back on, Kent's best bowler so far today. In terms of wickets taken, 3 for 40 from his 8.
So they'll be bowling to Matthew Montgomery, who faced most of those 8 overs earlier. There is Qadri then from the Nackington Road end, bowls Montgomery, leaves his crease and gets it away. We'll be able to get a couple of runs. Thought that was going to be cut off there by Matt Parkinson. Is Parkinson okay? Does like to have a roll around a bit. Most Lankies do. Yeah,
he's floor okay. Pretty gingerly.
He's got up in instalments there. 217 for 7. Montgomery on to 67. There's Qadri, the leg spinner, bowls to him and driven again down the ground by Matthew Montgomery for another single. 218 for 7. Montgomery does have a century in this format, but that was in South African cricket before he came over full time and committed his future to Notts.
Wonder how much can it be ruining their slight batting collapse now, because if they'd had maybe 20 more runs on the board, they'd have a little buffer here, but it's very tight.
218 for 7. Reverse sweep by Harrison straight to the fielder, Grant Stewart. That's why it's sometimes frowned upon by coaches. Do it when they're not expecting it and when there's not a fielder there, but it's a high risk shot, certainly if there's a fielder there. Qadri in again. Harrison, that's better, just plays in the V and gets an easy single, keeps the board moving, gets Montgomery back on strike. Nothing wrong with that. 219 for 7.
In fairness to Harrison, if he'd have beaten that fielder, I think he'd have got 4.
Yeah,
so it might have been a risk worth taking.
Qadri now to Montgomery on 68. Advances down the track, works it away square of the wicket on the leg side. Another one taken. 220 for 7 Notts, so 40 more required. Been promising the listeners, the viewers, all day that this is going to go right down to the wire. May do yet. Could be a close one. Qadri in to Harrison. He's headed up in the air and he's gone. Qadri gets his 4th. Ben Compton with the catch. And Calvin Harrison, never in control of the shot, just flailed away outside the off stump, and there was enough spin on the ball just to move it away from the centre of the bat that Harrison was trying to find, and gets a bottom edge. It's just looped up gently into the offside, and Compton takes the catch, and Calvin Harrison, frustrated, rattles his own helmet with his bat there as he walks off. Gone for 16, and with 40 still required, there's only Tom Loughton and Dane Patterson that can now help Matthew Montgomery get there. 220 for 8 in the 44th.
What feels like a crucial moment in the game. We were saying about too many partnerships would get Notts there. Well, that's the end of one of them. From a Kent point of view, just 2 more wickets required. And as we've talked about earlier on, Loughton is more than good enough. He is a lot better than most number 10s who'll be coming out in this competition to bat. He's there with a set batter as well in Montgomery, who becomes even more important. But Kent would be just thinking, right, if we can get through one of these 2 now, gives us 1 more wicket. Just feels like maybe the pendulum has swung back in Kent's favour after a good couple of overs for Notts.
Notts are actually comfortably ahead of where Kent were at the same stage. They'd only got 209 runs at the end of 44. Notts at 220 for 8. It was the end of the over, so Montgomery's on strike. It was interesting that Matt Montgomery was outside the 30-yard discs to greet Tom Loughton. He'd walked that far away from the Kent players. Just have a quiet word with Loughton as to what to expect and how they're going to play. It's going to be Parkinson to bowl.
Yeah, the leg spinner back into the attack then. Kent going with spin in these late stages, pushed away by Montgomery out towards point. Parkinson, the most economical spinner today for Kent. Baisley 5 overs, number 16. The only one who's got a better economy rate than him, but this is his 9th over. 1 for 29 so far, Parkinson. So Kent going with spin late on in the innings. Swept away here by Montgomery out towards Jaden Denley at deep square leg. Should just be 1. Good fielding in the deep from the youngster. So Notts 2-2-1 for 8. 39 to win, and Loughton on strike for his first ball. Bit of work here to do for Captain Leaning and his fellow northerner, as he was saying to us in an interview the other day. Parkinson, the bowler, having a bit of a Conversation about the field. Brought in a fielder from the square boundary on the leg side, and they're sending Grant Stewart out at long on.
Hit a couple of sixes at Radlett on Tuesday, both over deep mid-wicket. Big clean hits. What's going to do with that sort of ball striking now?
Attack Parkinson. Tosses this one right up. Drives it straight to cover. Dot ball.
Gave him the option, didn't he? There was plenty of air.
Yeah. Said, go on then. You want to give it a try? Wisely, Loughton decided first ball he'd have a little bit more of a look. Parkinson to him again. Really tossed up. Brilliantly driven for 4. He takes the invitation on that occasion. Strikes the ball all along the ground to the fence. 35 to win for Notts, who are 225 for 8, and Loughton off the mark with a boundary second ball.
I don't know how many's here, but 2,500, 3,000 groans all at once there as it threaded its way through the offside for 4.
Parkinson different to Qadri in that he does give the ball that bit more flight. Qadri very flat. Oh, as he edged it behind, yes! Harry Finch's glove work. Again. Big for Kent. And Matt Parkinson again coming up with a massive wicket for the Spitfires in this wonderful start to his career with his new county, this loan spell. Seeing him as the top wicket taker in the competition. Loughton on his way for 4. And Notts 225 for 9. It's Montgomery or bust with 35 more to win.
Such a good bowler, Matt Parkinson. He's not worried that much. I mean, he's got a great economy rate, as we've been talking about, but he's not that concerned if he's hit for a 4 or a 6 by somebody. He'll still just drop the bait in the water there. He'll just float it up. Just maybe take a bit of pace off, maybe put a bit more pace on, but he'll always be tantalising, inviting the batters to come after him, and knowing full well that there's enough revolutions on the ball to create a problem or two. Tom Loughton, I think, caught in 2 minds, and in the end just nibbled it through to keeper Harry Finch. So Dane Patterson to come. There is 1 ball left in the over. That's going to be the first obstacle for him to negotiate. And then Matt Montgomery has got to find a way somehow of getting Notts another 35 runs. Won't be able to do it on his own, of course. Patterson has to help out, but what we've seen from him in his brief time with Notts tends to be there for a short time usually.
Yeah, I remember the 4-day game at Trent Bridge. Patterson generally having a bit of license at number 11 to have a bit of a swing, but he needs to be a partner to Montgomery right now. Back he goes and plays this very sensibly up towards long off for a single, albeit it means he's going to keep the strike for the next over. They've got that they've slightly miscalculated that one, the 2 at the crease, because they want Montgomery on strike, and it'll be Patterson now. Applause for Matt Parkinson. 226 for 9, 34 more runs needed of 5 overs for Notts.
How many's Parkinson? That's only 9, isn't it? So he has got another one. Yeah, as I just said, I mean, obviously Montgomery holds the key, but he can't do it all on his own, and maybe Dane Patterson will feel a little happier that he's got off the mark first ball, got a single to his name. But equally, he might have a swish to this next ball from Qadri and get bowled, and that's the end of the game, and they'll be saying, well, why is Matt Montgomery at the other end? But you just can't win when 35 are required and you're the lone batter. Unless you're Ben Stokes with Jack Leach, you invariably take the wrong option on these sorts of occasions.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because obviously Patterson is the experienced cricketer out of the 2. That, you know, he's played a lot more of these games, but of course Montgomery is the set batter on 70 not out. So
Yeah, I think from talking to one or two of the others that have batted with Dane, it doesn't really matter what you say to him or what sort of game plan you might think for yourself. Dane will do it Dane's way.
Sounds like one of my favourite number 11s.
Yeah. Kent on the brink of victory. You've only seen half the day. You might as well try and get your side over the line.
Qadri looking for a fifer as well. This one is edged off the back foot by Patterson. Chops it away out towards point, and a single will bring Montgomery back on a strike. That's exactly what Nottinghamshire need with 33 to win.
I felt sorry for you at Trembridge, where an under-strength Kent side, and that's putting it mildly, were rolled over in 3 weeks, in 3 days.
It was that fourth innings that was key. This one is driven hard up towards long on by Montgomery. He's only going to be able to get a single hit. Good bowling from Qadri to just cramp him for room. Yeah, Nottinghamshire bowled themselves beautifully to victory in the end. And that fourth innings, Kent had battled for much of those, or much of the game. This one is driven away by Patterson. Of course, Notts come here next in the county championship as well, the start of September.
10th.
Yeah,
it is, yeah.
Kent have got a bye week first week.
Notts have as well, yeah.
So dot ball there for Qadri. Kent looking for one more wicket to win the game. Patterson sensibly defending into the covers, but the home fans like the dot ball regardless. 32 more needed for victory for the visiting side, the chasing side. 228 they've got on the board. 260 they need. Driven away by Patterson. It's a flat delivery from Qadri, and it's only as far as competent cover.
31 for the tie. Let's go early on that one.
That would be something. Little tweak to the Kent field. They've just opened up the leg side. As if to say, go on, Dane, have a swing. Nice big gap for you over there. Qadri bowls, and it's fired in. Taken by Finch behind the stumps. And just 2 runs taken off the over. So a very tight one from Qadri, who I believe may have even been bowled out now. So he ends with a 4 for 47.
Yeah. Parkinson to bowl his final over.
At that point, what does Jack Leading do? Does he go back to Betty?
There's plenty of options, isn't there?
You would have thought he'd go back to Baisley.
Stewart's only had 4, Leaning himself had 6, Baisley 5, Gilchrist 7.
Yeah, could back himself, couldn't he, as the skipper?
One or two folks think they've seen the outcome and are heading for their cars, as reverse by Montgomery is only going to bring a single. So is that Grant Stewart with the stop? No, it's not. It's
Baisley.
James Baisley.
Yeah.
So a single taken from the first ball. Montgomery goes to 73, 229 for 9.
Yeah, tough for Montgomery, knowing he knows that he needs to score the bulk of these runs. Patterson watches this turn and plays it nicely off the back foot, actually, out towards cover. He doesn't really want to be turning runs down, but he wants to take the bulk of the strike here, and Patterson's done well to give it back to him. So 230 for 9, 30 to win. But the required rate going up. So Montgomery might be thinking about where his best boundary option is here. Comes down the pitch and smashes it straight back over the bowler's head. That should go for 6. Really clean strike from Matthew Montgomery. Used his feet to get down the pitch to Parkinson and slammed him back over his head. So 24 more runs required to win. 3.3 overs to go. Required rate just dipping under 7 and over now. But Montgomery knows he's probably going to face... Well, he's got 3 more balls of spin here. And then he doesn't quite know what to come next. But that's a good option against Parkinson. Using his feet, slapping him back past him. Wants to be aggressive right here, right now. Goes for a single into the onside. Sensible cricket. Takes his boundary. Takes the 6. Just helps himself to another run. So 23 to win. Just silencing this Canterbury crowd a touch with that wonderfully struck blow back past the bowler. So Patterson on strike. Parkinson bowls and it's driven away by Dane Patterson out towards extra cover for a single. 22 more required for the Notts Outlaws. One more wicket needed for Kent. Number of spectators are almost loitering by the exits, on their feet, out of their seats, waiting to hopefully glimpse the last action of the game before trying to beat the crowd out of the city. But just 19 more deliveries to be bowled, 22 required. That blow from Montgomery has just turned things back in Notts' favour, and he's down the pitch again to Parkinson and just clipping it away into the onside and saying, I'll have to strike for the next over, thank you. 21 needed from the final 3 overs for Nottinghamshire. One more wicket required for Kent. They're 2-3-9 for 9, the visitors.
Interesting, isn't it? It's certainly within the scope of Matthew Montgomery and Dane Patterson here. Kent still overwhelming favourites. 22 from 3 overs, purely by virtue, mainly by virtue of the fact that there is a genuine number 11 out there, but he's done it nicely.
Yeah, they just need one wicket, one ball to go right for them. Parkinson ends 10 overs, 2 for 46, 2 important wickets. Interestingly, it's Grant Stewart who the skipper is going back to here. So Stewart's only bowled 4 overs in the game and has quite often been underused by Kent in this competition so far. He's a few times been bowled up front with a new ball and then hasn't come back on at all. So interesting that at this crunch moment they've gone to Stewart.
Well, he's potentially got 2 overs here. The 4 overs he did bowl were from our end of the ground. He's now on from the Nackington Road. And Montgomery will sure be hoping to deal in 2s or 4s here. Six from this over wouldn't be the end of the world. That would leave 16 from 2. So all the fielders inside the ring, the 4 inside the ring, are all going to be on the offside.
Yeah, fielders running here, there and everywhere at the moment as Jack Leading wants to get it right in terms of the field. So here comes Grant Stewart from the Nackington Road end. Turned away into the onside by Montgomery. They're going to run the first one hard. Should come back for 2 here. Patterson turns and is already on his way back to the bowler's end. Leaning from long on. Unable to stop 2 runs being scored there as Stewart looked at Grant Montgomery for room as he backed away to the leg side.
And the thing was, if he'd stayed where he was, that would have been a leg side wide. I know it's always a difficult call, isn't it? Are you going to play the shot you want to play? Or are you going to just try and restrain yourself, stay where you were, get that leg side wide?
241 for 9, 260 the required target. Again, he's looking to cramp him for room here, Stewart, with a full sort of leg stumpish Yorker aiming for the pads. Montgomery steering it into the leg side for a single.
3 from 2. He's going to have a chat with Dane Patterson here. Heaven knows what communication was passed. He'd have got a big grin from Dane Patterson.
Something along the lines of, hit the ball, get me back on strike.
Both born in South Africa. But Matthew Montgomery with connections to this country and to Germany on his mother's side as well. Dane Patterson played a couple of tests for South Africa 3 years ago.
Grant Stewart bowling to him. A little bit wider on the crease. It's been slapped hard back over the bowler's head. Could go for 4. Yes, it will. Jack leaning at long on, can't get there, and Dane Patterson, the number 11, hitting a crucial boundary for Nottinghamshire in this 48th over.
Sure, that's not what Matthew Montgomery said to him, but Dane Patterson does things Dane Patterson ways, and he's gone on to 7, 246 of 14 required, 13 for the tie, 14 for the win.
He was going for his Yorker again, Stuart. I wonder if maybe a slower ball might be a better option here to Patterson, if he's going to try and play the big shot. 14 more needed, he bangs it in short, it's pulled away into the onside, and they'll get a single. It'll bring Montgomery back on the strike with 2 balls to go in the over. Just seen James Baisley warming up as well.
That's 8 off 4.
It's a good over this for Notts so far. Just 13 more required from 14 deliveries now.
Well, Montgomery just get a single here, really.
As you say in German, links with Germany. Did he play against Grant Stewart when he was playing for Italy in those European qualifier matches? So Stewart bowls to him, and goes for that full Yorker, and it's jammed out by Montgomery. Dot ball. So 13 required off 13 deliveries. 1 wicket left though for Notts. It's Montgomery on 83 not out, alongside Patterson on 9. He'll probably be thinking here, right, single to get me back on strike for the next over.
Yep.
There's plenty of spaces on the leg side for him to try and do it. Stewart in and bowls, turns it away easily down towards fine leg for 1, and will keep the strike. So 12 needed.
9 from
2
that
overs.
Yep, 9 from that one. 11 for the tie, 12 for the win. Smack on 6 o'clock. I'll just have to go and update listeners to BBC Radio Nottingham.
Thanks, Dave. Oh, what a crucial moment to be chatting to radio listeners and filling them in on the events here at Canterbury. The guys have been saying all day that this could go down to the wire. And as it turns out, that's exactly what is happening.
I'm not sure from a Kent point of view he wanted that prediction to come through, but there we go.
I don't think, a few overs
Really
ago,
tense.
perhaps, that it was maybe going to get this far with 35 needed when Loughton was dismissed.
Yeah, I was going to say, when Loughton went, that felt like, and I don't know what Nottinghamshire fans thought, but that felt like it, didn't it? But now,
with Montgomery still there, even Patterson hitting the boundary.
Yeah, slight advantage to Nottinghamshire, although they just have the 1 wicket to play for, so there's no room for error, but they only need 12 now off 2 overs.
Yeah, in terms of run rate, absolutely. 12 off 12, which favour the batting team.
And almost, it feels like, I was saying how many options Jack Leaning has, but almost feels like he's got too many options in terms of he's got to decide. Well, he has decided to go for seam at the end here, hasn't he, rather than sticking with spin, and you can understand why as well, in the potential for nudging spin around, I suppose, for a singular ball and getting really close against perhaps Baisley and Stewart taking that vital wicket.
Yeah, Baisley's only going to get 1 over here, having bowled 5 pretty tightly earlier on.
5 for 20 bowled, and here he comes then from the pavilion end and bowling to Montgomery into his toes, but it's driven up to long on for the single. So it's 11 from 11.
Single's fine for Notts.
Yeah.
I'm slightly surprised that maybe didn't give Baisley 2 and Stewart 1 of these final 3.
Yeah, he can work at the death, can't he, Stewart? And up top as well, but also occasionally can go for runs.
Yeah, I think Stewart's strength is often the cutters, whereas it's been pretty much, in that previous over, it was trying to bowl leg stump Yorker every ball almost.
Bowling full into the, 249 for 9. That leg stump at Yorker at the end, for instance, gave Montgomery the chance to get back on strike. It hasn't hurt them too badly, has it? Because they've just taken a single off this first ball, but James Baisley, in long conversation It's the cut-off 6:29. They've got all sorts of time to bowl these last 2 overs. They don't take quarter an hour over each. But here's Baisley then bowling to Patterson. A little jump as he played that one, but rolled the wrists over and gets a single. Does well actually to pick out the area in front of Jack leading. So there's a 250 up.
10 to win.
10 to win, indeed.
Montgomery on strike, 85 not out. Will it be a match winning?
It's not a hard equation, is it? 10 from 10. But you're right.
Will it be a match winning innings from him? He's not going to get to 100.
I thought Patterson did really well now. He's adjusted his shot, hasn't he? Just picked a gap up towards Jack leaning to get Montgomery back on strike. 85 not out is Matt Montgomery. Faces Beatty now. It's a full-length delivery driven to the offside. Single taken. I thought that might be the one.
If he'd have beaten Qadri there,
Yeah.
might have gone for 4.
Absolutely right.
Right idea to use his feet
Feels
up against
like
a possible Yorker.
not so slightly on top here. Goodness me, this is tense. 9 off 9, Nottinghamshire need. Kent need one more wicket. Absolute nail biter here, Dom. Nottinghamshire need 9 more from 9 balls to beat Kent here. Kent need just 1 more wicket. I'm not sure quite how it's come to this, but we said at halfway when Kent had made 259 for 9, as Nottinghamshire take 1 more run to make it 8 from 8 balls they need. But yeah, Kent made 259 for 9. Great innings from Compton with 59. Bell Drummond with 79. We said at halfway, this looked like it could easily go right to the wire. It is as well. Nerve-jangling stuff. If Kent win it, they put themselves in an excellent position in the group to perhaps qualify for the knockout stages. 2 group games left after this one, but can't tell which way it's gone. It's going to go rather. Couldn't from more or less the start, Dom. 252 for 9. 8 needed from 8 balls. Commentary continuing for a short time via the BBC Sport website and app. As Baisley bowls that one, dot ball, it's jammed into the ground by Montgomery, trying to make himself a room outside the leg stump and perhaps drive it into the offside, but has to just bunt it into the ground back at Baisley, and no run. 4 singles and a dot ball, and it's 8 from 7 they need.
Yeah,
Goodness.
really important bowling from Baisley. Dot ball as Montgomery's trying to give himself room. He's aiming to go past cover here. That's his boundary option.
It's Baisley then, final ball of the 49th, driven up towards Jack leaning. That'll be a single, keep himself on strike, and they'll need 7 Nottinghamshire to win off the final over. He's put himself in that position as Montgomery. Look at this knock, 87 from 81. We said responsibility on his shoulders. Young shoulders as well, Matt Montgomery. Can he keep his team in this tournament? The Notts Outlaws have to win 2, the last 2 games, including here, to keep themselves in with any chance of making the knockout stages. They kept themselves in this game all the way to the wire, Dave Bracegirdle.
Yeah,
7 from 6 they need.
Good entertainment for those that have come along, isn't it?
It's not been bad, has it?
Whoever wins goes 3rd. Notts are still strong outsiders to make the knockouts, even if they win this, because they've played a game more than everybody else. But they'll want to win this and then see what happens on Sunday on those matches, and just see if they do have any chance still, if they can beat Lancashire on Tuesday in their final match. Kent with a couple of games left, Essex on Sunday, and then Hampshire away on the Isle of Wight on Tuesday.
Yeah, if they lose this one, they'll probably need to win both of those. And away at Hampshire won't be easy on the last game of the group, and Essex won't be either, I'm sure.
Go on then, Matt. Good luck.
Good luck to us both. Here comes Stewart then to bowl to Montgomery, who's on 87, advances down the pitch. He's mishit that one, but it's skewed off towards 3rd. They take a single. It's 6 from 5. He was aiming that up through long on, wasn't he? It's ended up at 3rd man, and Matt Parkinson fields off his shin.
I briefly thought it was through Parkinson when it was heading towards him.
2-5-4 for 9.
Well, Patterson can hit 6s. He can also miss it and get cleaned up, but he can hit sixes, as we saw last over from this end. He had a four straight back over the bowler's head, but he can, generally one big hit and out.
Five
This is
balls
going
to
to be
go.
his moment.
Yeah, could be. I keep joking about the cut-off because I think that says 6:29. So Kent got 22 minutes to bowl this last over. They can this meeting can go on. Well, it can go on like a meeting, basically, can't it? They can copy people in on Zoom on this one.
Who's taking the minutes?
They're quite, yeah. So Jack Lean's got the whiteboard out. He's pointing different directions. Grant Stewart. This could be after every ball, just to try and put the pressure on the batter, I suppose, at this point, couldn't it? But Stewart is going to bowl this one. 5 balls left, 6 needed. Bowls to Patterson. Straight back over the bowler's head. They'll be 4, will it? Great strike from Dane Patterson. And that means it's 2 to win. Off 4. Lovely shot. Over long off. As you said, we saw him do it in more or less his first ball faced. That one may have broken the back, 2 or 4, and I think the honour is yours now, Dave Bracegirdle.
I've been saying tie for a while, haven't I? That could still happen. Could still happen. 1 for the tie, 2 for the win. Dane Patterson and Matthew Montgomery. What was it? You've left my notes in there. What was the score when the 9th went?
2-5-5, is that? No, 2-2-5. What am I saying about? So, cracky, yes, they put on 33, these two. What a partnership this is. And yeah, there's another long meeting. I think the umpire now is saying, come on now, gentlemen. Is it?
The thing is, I was going to make the point last time when they were doing it, it also gives Dane Patterson a little bit of chance to focus.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
If you're continually bowling in this situation, and the number 11, he doesn't really have time to think what his next plan is, because suddenly the next ball's on him, but he'll be just able to draw breath a little bit, and then he will, he'll have absorbed the fact that 1 will tie it and 2 will win it. The field is just suddenly becoming a little oppressive. In they come, trying to surround Dane Patterson, and now he'll back away.
Need a wicket now.
Could happen. If it is a wicket, then Kent will win by 1 run. If it's a single, the scores are tied. Anything more than that, Notts will win. There are still 4 balls left in the over, so the drama can be dragged out a little longer. Here is the 3rd ball of the over, and Patterson will drop it on the leg side and he'll get a single, so Notts can't lose. Notts can't lose, Kent can't win. There are 3 balls left for Matthew Montgomery, who is on strike to somehow get a run, whether it's via conventional means or via a leg by, or the keeper fumbles one, or heaven forbid a no ball or a wide. But 1 run will do it for Notts, and it's been that sort of game. Kent right now will be feeling low, but could still alter the dynamics of the group if they can get this wicket or prevent Notts from getting a run from these 3 balls. It's been a cracker.
It really has, yeah. Great innings from Matt Montgomery, this, isn't it? 88 from 82. Whatever happens off these final 3 balls, if they need them. What a job he's done. Is he 23?
Yeah.
Montgomery. Fantastically mature innings, this one. It's ebbed and flowed a bit, but when Hamid went at 130 for 4, Kent had their noses in front from there, didn't they, more or less? Certainly 141 for 5 when Patterson White went.
So Stewart's getting all the intel he can muster from James Bazley. He's been in his ear now for 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and now Dane Patterson and Matthew Montgomery said, well, we'll have a bit of a chat. Field is all in on the 1, apart from Daniel Bell Drummond, who's been left out in the deep on the leg side for anything hit in the air. Here is Stewart into Matthew Montgomery. Bowls nice and full, and it's hit straight to shortish mid-on, and there's no run. 2 balls left, scores are tied. Here on BBC Kent Sport, BBC Radio Nottingham Online, and I know many of you will be watching and enjoying the pictures. Thanks very much to Kent County Cricket Club for their hospitality today and for providing the pictures. Been a splendid crowd. The weather's been laid on thanks to our hosts Matt and to Ben.
Here we go. Close field now. Everybody in saving the one.
Yeah, Ben Drummond's been brought in on the leg side. Montgomery on strike on 88 as Grant Stewart from the Nackington Road end bowls. He's gone for the reverse and gets it, and it's 4 runs, and Notts win by 1 wicket, and Matthew Montgomery is 92 not out, and that is an absolutely sensational run chase, bearing in mind that this last pair have put nearly 40 on together. A really good day's cricket. Kent were in a strong position as the openers put 100 on. But the second half of the innings they fell away. 259, it did seem as if it was slightly under par. Any more runs and they would have been safely away from anything that Notts could have mustered. But it's gone right down to the penultimate ball with Matthew Montgomery. And a very much 21st century shot has got Notts over the line. He's just gone down and just reverse scooped it away for 4. And he will finish 92 not out. That is absolutely a cracking day's cricket. The crowd, obviously they'll go away because the majority of them are Kent supporters. They're going to go away disappointed. But that's one for the memory banks.
Yeah, brilliant finish, and brilliantly finished, I'd say, by Montgomery as well. That was the area you could see, the only real area of escape for him. And it's a big risk, isn't it, to try and run the ball down through third. He did the opposite in that, as you say, he switched his bat and has flicked that through for 4. Fantastic innings from Matt Montgomery. As said, Kent look favourites from probably, I suppose, 30 overs, certainly. At the end of the 30th over when Liam Patterson went at 141 for 5, but Matt Montgomery was not to be deterred, not to be shaken and not to be dismissed, and has taken the victory here. We've seen some very good batting indeed. Compton and Bell Drummond for Kent, but Montgomery has held his own. Highest score of the day, 92 not out, rightfully, with that knock taking Nottinghamshire home. So, well, the group, which seemed to be taking a very straightforward angle a couple of overs ago, maybe with Kent slipping into third, now Nottinghamshire still have hope.
They do. They'll have to see how the results go on Sunday to see if they've got a chance on Tuesday when they play Lancashire at Welbeck. For the time being, they slip into third place behind the 2 front runners, Leicestershire and Hampshire. But there's plenty of sides that can overtake them at the weekend, and